Scottsdale Progress, your hometown newspaper. Scottsdale lawmaker seems to seeks to clamp transgender pronoun use. What is this? Scottsdale State Senator John Kavanaugh wants to ban schools' use of pronouns that don't reflect an individual's birth gender. Look at this guy. Can you get a more overexposed photo? Like, what, dude? Were you looking directly at the sun, dude? Look at this. Your hair is like pure white. Your forehead is like pure white. There's like a hint of pink there, and that's it. This is the whitest dude I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay, let's get started. State lawmakers are once again wading into the area of rights of transgender minors. A new proposal by Senator John Kavanaugh, Republican from Scottsdale, would bar school employees from knowingly referring to a student by a pronoun, quote, that differs from the pronoun that aligns with the student's biological sex, end quote, regardless of the student's preferences. Only if the adult first gets parental permission would that be permissible. And Kavanaugh is already planning to expand what has been introduced as SB 1001 to close what he sees as a possible loophole where teachers could avoid pronouns and instead address a student by the first name he or she prefers. He wants state law to read that only a student's given name or some variant could be used, so someone named Edward could be addressed as Eddie or Ed. But calling that student Emma or Evelyn would be breaking the law. Kavanaugh bills his measure as ensuring that parents know if their children are identifying themselves by a gender other than the one they were assigned at birth. That, he said, ensures children can get the psychological treatment they may need to deal with depression and possible suicide. But what it's not designed to do, he told Capital Media Services, is make it easier for a parent informed of a child's gender dysphoria to get him or her the medical treatment needed to match the biological sex and gender identity. You're talking to somebody who was a parent who wouldn't let their minor child get a tattoo, much less change their gender, Kavanaugh said. Those decisions need to be deferred to when an individual's an adult and can make a mature decision. His legislation comes less than a year after state lawmakers approved, and former Governor Doug Ducey signed, a measure to prohibit any form of, quote, irreversible gender reassignment surgery on an individual younger than 18, even with the consent of parents. Again, this is something that very, very, very rarely, if ever, happens, okay? Even medical experts don't recommend doing surgery before, the end of puberty. So I don't know where a lot of this is coming from. But to get the votes, proponents had to remove a provision that would have prohibited doctors from providing puberty-blocking hormones or any other hormone therapy to minors. Ducey also signed another measure passed by the Republican-controlled legislature spelling out that anyone who is born a male cannot participate in intramural or interscholastic sports for females, regardless of whether she is fully transitioned. Kavanaugh, in discussing his new bill, acknowledged he has heard of no issues in Arizona schools with teachers using the wrong pronoun with students, yet. It is something that is spreading, he told Capital Media Services. We want to nip it in the bud. But Jeannie Woodbury, the interim executive director of Equality Arizona, said it's a bad idea. Reactionary legislators are now trying to forcibly enlist teachers into their efforts to make schools inhospitable to trans and binary students, she said, and Woodbury called it an embarrassment to good governance for this to be the first measure introduced in the Senate for the 2023 session. Bridget Sharp, the state director for the Human Rights Campaign, said that Kavanaugh is trying to make an issue out of something that's not a problem. All that happens at the end of the day is that the kids feel ostracized, she said. Sharp also said it undermines the ability of trans students to believe they have a, quote, trusted person at school with whom they can speak. Kavanaugh pointed out that his legislation would not preclude a teacher or other school employee from referring to a student using his or her preferred pronoun or even a name that doesn't match the person's biological sex. It says they can't do that unless the parent has given permission, he said. Kavanaugh said there's also a potential benefit in requiring teachers to check in with parents when a student makes such a request. In fact, if the parents know about it and the child is receiving treatment, then calling a child a name or a pronoun that doesn't align with their gender may, in fact, be contrary to their treatment, Kavanaugh said. These children are often depressed and suicidal, he continued, so the last thing I want to do is keep parents who are in a position to help the child in the dark. Marisol Garcia, president of the Arizona Education Association, said it comes even as the state is losing thousands of teachers each year. She said measures like this make it harder to convince more people to enter the profession, citing a conversation she had with some would-be teachers. It was their number one priority. How do we stay in a state where we are constantly being politicized, she said, with state government adding to the bureaucracy. It's just frustrating and angering. Yeah. What a goofy goober this guy is. That's putting way too much on teachers who are already overworked and underpaid. Yeah, exactly. And apparently they can't get enough teachers. Like, there's a teacher shortage. All right. Okay. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I am planning on coming back on Wednesday for more trans news coverage. I'm going to be snowed in anyway, apparently, so might as well. And then Friday, I'm going to be doing a Friendly Friday interview with another trans person here from Colorado. And then also I'm going to be having a conversation with another friend about trans medicalism and the opinions of trans medicalists. So a lot of stuff coming up this week. A lot of good stuff coming up this week. Very happy about it. Lots of content coming to the channel, so be sure to subscribe, check out the YouTube, check out the Spotify, rate the show on Spotify. That's a huge help. Yeah. Share it around. I don't have a Facebook page, so if any of you want to share it on Facebook, that'd be great. But yeah, maybe later next week I'll talk about the updates to the Wii Spa thing and go further into that, because that seems to get a lot of attention. But all right. For now, I'm just going to head out for the day, go to the grocery and get some stuff done. And I'll see everybody on Wednesday.